Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming a very talented and very special actress. Her name is Beverly Leech. She was on so many different TV shows in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. So many great shows like Sledge Hammer, Alien Nation, Quantum Leap, lots of great TV shows. And she was in movies like Blake Edwards' Sunset and It's Pat movie and Blood Work and so many other things. Beverly Leech, and I'm having her on the show today to talk about all that stuff. And then later, she became a drug and alcohol addiction counselor. And a lot of you out there know that, I have alcoholism in my family and what have you. And I want to talk to her about that. And I think it's going to be a very interesting show. And hopefully a lot of you out there will get some knowledge from it. So yeah, here is my interview with Beverly Leech. Hey Beverly.
Hey Tommy, I'm looking at your email that says 10:30 your time, 1:30 mine. So listen, whatever works for you is fine with me.
Yeah,
how are you today?
It's 10:47 now.
I know. So I thought it was going to be 10:30 your time and 1:30 my time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the email I'm looking at right now. So that's okay. So are we already recording?
Oh yes.
Well, hello. Good morning, everybody. Hello, Tommy.
It's such an honor, Beverly. Thank you for taking the time today.
I appreciate this. A lot. I tend to be real busy with my real life, and then I forget, oh yeah, I'm an actress. For me, it's just a job I do, and then I come home and I live my real life like everybody else. So Anyway, happy Saturday, happy day to you.
Happy Saturday to you too. So, going back in time, I was reading that you're from Texas and you were originally a ballet dancer. I am. At what age did that start?
I started dancing at the age of 9. I learned to do that, and it saved me from being a clarinet player. And my whole family was filled with musicians, and they thought I would make a wonderful clarinet player. So for 2 or 3 years, I blew my brains out on a woodwind instrument, and then I quit because it was too hard. And that Thanksgiving, and by that time I'd started ballet classes, and that Thanksgiving we all got together as a family, and everybody pulled out their musical instruments, and my papa, who was a clarinet player, said, oh, I didn't pack mine, I'll just use Bev's. And he couldn't blow it either. It turned out that the keys were hung wrong over the holes, and it was hard to get a sound out. So, I was too young to know that it was the instrument and not me. I thought I was a big failure as a musician. If those keys had been hung right, I'd be in a different state and city living a different life right now, because everybody in my family is a musician of some kind. But by that time, I'd started ballet classes at a local studio, and I found better and better teachers, one with the Joffrey, and then eventually ended up training at the Houston Ballet. And my parents had different ideas about my future. They wanted me to be either an attorney or a doctor. Mm-hmm. So I had to go to college, which turned out to be good. I still went to a college with a dance department, and I continued to dance professionally after college. So it was, honestly, it was a beautiful life. It's a short life for a dancer. Yeah, they sort of peter out around 25. at the age of 25, but I had really exceptional training at Florida State University with the modern dancers there, and Houston Ballet prior to that. So I continued to work well into my 30s, and during some summer stock in Dallas-Fort Worth area at Casa Manana, they began to pull me from the chorus and give me lines. And in college I'd done Peter Pan, so I think the dance life was leading me to an acting life in a sort of higher order. I segued into acting that way through dancing, and I treated my training with acting as diligently as I did my dancing training. I really got the best training available I could find for dancing, and so I found the best possible training I could find for acting, and I found Stella Adler, who, do you know who she is?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to be introduced to Stella Adler in her master classes here in Los Angeles, and that started me on a journey of depth and exploration. I mean, I think she saved me from being another dumb blonde on television. I really do. I have a great fascination for authors and the written word, and the play is the same, just as Shakespeare said, and that was her angle. So dive into the play, find out what the author wants, and then develop your character from that. And I have a real reverence for that, even though I do a lot of TV and commercial work. I think that's what keeps me working, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Just like dancing kept me just like the kind of training I got in dancing kept me working long past the expiration date. Long past it. I was still dancing professionally at the age of 35, 37, 38, and continued to take classes into my 40s. So, yeah, it'll serve, if you get the right training up front and your roots are deep, it'll serve you for the rest of your life,
Absolutely. Longevity there. So when you were in Stella Adler's class, who else was in your class with you?
Oh, let me find some names here. I know Selma Hayek was in some of them, Benicio del Toro. I'm looking up Chris's name here. Let me see, where's Chris's name? I don't know why it's too early for me right now. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
I don't mean to. I thought I was going to be talking to you later. I was going to bone up for you before I got on the phone. We did a really, really, really funny movie of the week called Midnight Runaround. And Christopher McDonald, Kyle Secor was in that too. Yeah, I wasn't there during the Edward Norton days or the earlier,
Yeah.
But there was some really dynamic talent in there and some really good writers in there too. A lot of directors and writers took her classes to understand how to write better and how to direct better too. So I was really fortunate to get into that class, and I studied with her for a number of years, and she introduced her special, script breakdown technique, and I still use that today. I still use it if there's a heavy-hitting film or a play or even a television show that has a huge character attached. I do a script breakdown on it. It's very methodical. It takes many hours, about a week or so of constant writing and looking for the clues in the script before I make choices. So it's again, something that has served me well over the years. I love her very much. She really changed my life, actually. Acting became almost spiritual through that experience. I felt like I was in a church or something.
Yeah. She was in her 80s by that point, right?
Yes. And she really did not like blonde television actresses. So she gave me an extra hard time. But I never let her throw me off the stage. She tried a couple of times. Most people left crying and wailing. But I knew that if I held my ground, she would respect me. And she did. She did. When she finally retired, she actually gave me a ring of hers.
Oh.
And, just as a gesture of friendship. I guess because, Texans are tough. they breed their women just beautifully. They're Texan tough, Yeah. They want you to be in the beauty pageants, but also plow the North 40, So you gotta have both sides. You gotta have that inner strength and that outer strength too. So I was willing to take it on the chin for her. She was worth it.
Mm-hmm. Do you still have that ring?
I do have that ring. I have it in a nice ring box, a velvet lined, and it's in my jewelry counter.
That's good.
And also she gave me a brooch of hers too. So it was, it's kind of a woman thing. It's some people were green with envy when they saw that happen. Very green. It had a little temper tantrum right there. But oh well. What are you going to do? I was just very humbled, actually, that I'd earned her respect. I had no idea until that moment that she thought well of me. She was always tough on everybody, men and women alike, but women especially.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's the reputation she had, but, so many people loved her. So, what year did you move to L.A.?
I moved to L.A., let me see, 84... between 84 and 85, I was working in Texas. I was doing summer stock, and I literally had tickets in my bag, a sublet in New York waiting for me, and a roommate. I was planning to move to New York. I wanted to be a triple threat on Broadway. And literally 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave, I got this random call for... I got a random call. They booked me in Los Angeles for, what a general audition is?
Well,
there are still talent scouts that go out from the studios, and Universal had sent a talent scout out to Houston one year, and the same guy came back the next year to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And all you had to do was put down 2 monologues, a minute apiece, dramatic and comedic, and it was just a general. There was no specific project tied to these general auditions, but they put me to tape, and the casting scout went back to Los Angeles, and literally a year later, I was booked off of that for a show called Star Search. Mm-hmm. And at that time, it wasn't even showing in Texas, really. I had to drive in. I'd never heard of it. I had to drive into Dallas and watch it on a friend's television set, and I thought, oh, Lord. This is kind of like a talent show, game show, and, I wanted to be in New York. I mean, I'd pay good money for that sublet and those plane tickets, and I had plans,
Yeah.
I wanted to be a Broadway actress, and my agent said, Beverly, this is just a one-off. Go. You're earning your credits to be a union member anyway. This will help you. This will help you get credits toward your union membership. It'll make you a little money. It'll make me a little money. You'll be back in time. Just rebook your tickets for next month, and you can still have your dream. It'll be fine. And 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, I was still in Los Angeles with this show, and I guess the universe had other ideas for me. I guess they didn't want me in New York. They wanted me in Los Angeles. And I ended up getting an agent, a couple of agents, a commercial agent and a theatrical agent, and I met my future husband there. I had a child by him later, and so I guess my future was in Los Angeles, not my plans, make plans and the gods laugh.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, I still ended up doing Broadway. I ended up doing City of Angels with Virginia Theater in New York. So, I was still able to make those dreams come true. They come to Los Angeles to cast Broadway shows too, and that was made abundantly clear for me. I auditioned every year for New York shows, so it was good. But still, it wasn't the road I had planned or was keen to do. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't, it was really, I hadn't done a ton of television or film. So it was a different animal for me. Up until that time, I'd done a ton of stage work at really good regional theaters and across the country, and I was really that was all my experience. And on stage, you have to be really big. You have to be able to throw your energy and your voice to the back of the house, whether it's 800 seats or 3,000 seats. And that's I had to learn a whole different style of acting in terms of how to discipline my energy for a camera. And really, that's where Stella came in. I met Stella Adler in Los Angeles. So maybe it was all roads were leading me to Stella. And she gave me an interior life that allowed me to, turn down the volume on my physical energy for a camera and get in touch with a more psychological approach. And even my comedy improved for that. The stage work really improved, was really a bonus for comedy. So I did a lot of comedy, television, sitcoms for a long time because I was able to handle the pratfall. I had a lot of physical agility, and stage work had really allowed me to do falls and things like that. In modern dance training, you can jump out of a high leap and land on the floor safely. So I was able to do my own stunts. Yeah, stage work really was a boon.
Yeah, my earliest memory of you was when you were on those episodes of Sledge Hammer.
Oh my God, I loved that psycho. I loved her. She was so much fun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think my favorite scene, and I really appreciate that Alan Spencer gave me that break on that show. He had actually hired me to do a reporter.
Right.
In an earlier episode that season, and he liked me so much he dyed my hair and brought me back for something else. So I'm really very, very grateful and deeply appreciative. He is a special cat, I'll tell you. He's a boy. No, he's a sweetheart. He's got a great sense of humor, gentle soul, and he's a boy genius. That man's mind works in bizarre ways that I adore,
Yeah.
And I think my favorite scene out of the psycho one for Sledge Hammer was the one in the gym, the locker room, where I hit Marie and throw her over my shoulder.
Oh yeah.
And I walked out with her. That was totally fun. All of it was fun, but it was a really great role and an opportunity to stretch my comedic muscles. Flex those and have fun. Alan throws a party when he writes comedy, and he encourages his actors to go out there. He also put me in Nut House later on too, so that was fun.
Yeah. Alan Spencer. I've heard him talk on the DVD commentary tracks, and he's just so hilarious. You never know when he's going to say something really, really funny.
I know, and he does it in a soft-spoken way.
Yeah.
But he has this, it's too bad that you only listen to him because he has this special sparkle. You know that something fun's going to come out of his mouth because there's some sort of light, like an inner imp.
Yeah.
That flashes right before, while he's taking that breath to say something hilarious. He's a super great guy. Great cat.
Yeah, and I love it when Sledge Hammer says to you that the gun is beautiful, not you.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole script was great. Yeah. That was one of my top 5 shows I loved working on.
Yeah.
Sledge Hammer.
It's one of my favorites, yeah. It was so groundbreaking.
I'm glad. Yeah, I just paid him homage on my Instagram account earlier, a few weeks ago. He's super great, yeah. For Halloween, I did my spooky, that character, that crazy character has a mugshot where she's just like wild looking in a trench coat. And that was my Halloween, that was my Spooktober post.
Nice.
Paying homage to him, so.
Nice. Then you had an uncredited role in Blake Edwards' Sunset.
That was a crazy shoot. I was sorry to see that that didn't work out well for Blake Edwards. He was, I got a lot of experience on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bruce Willis was going through some transitional times there.
Yeah.
And they actually apologized for, I still have that letter, that's something. They had me cast as Carol Lombard.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we wrapped out, it wasn't cutting together properly. So they actually sent me a letter apologizing for not being able to use my scenes, but they were going to recredit me as Thelma Todd and bring me back for some reshoots. Mm-hmm. So I ended up doing another few weeks on that film as Thelma Todd, and I thought that was very generous of him. You know, sometimes when actors do really great work, or just good work, you know, it doesn't matter if it's great or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't end up in the final cut because maybe, I don't know, the show is too long. And they have to make those cuts. And, of course, the lesser characters, I only had 2 or 3 scenes. So the lesser characters were the first to go because you have to pay attention to the leads and the storyline, the A plot and the B line. So the lesser characters are there. And it's good to have them for color and to make it more interesting. But, I was disappointed. But I thought he was a great gentleman. I really, really did.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a producer before or after send me a letter thanking me for my work on the movie and telling me that he was sorry that he had to cut my scenes.
Oh.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I mean, what a gentleman. I mean, that's 5-star. That's why he's at the top of his game, because he knew how to treat his actors. He was really great. He was really great to everybody, and I admired that. But I did get to meet James Garner, and I ended up working with James Garner a couple of times after that. Now he's a great gentleman too. He and Blake Edwards are of the same ilk. I remember working on some of his movies of the week, and he would take his time off sitting on an apple box with the crew, smoking a cigarette, or hanging out with the extras. I mean, he just didn't try to act like a snooty, movie star. And he was absolutely a movie star,
mm-hmm.
you know. He was just a humble, regular guy who spoke to the director with as much reverence and respect as he did to the extras. I mean, he treated everybody across the board. He was a great gentleman, James Garner and Blake Edwards. So I thought this is the kind of success I want to live,
mm-hmm.
where my ego isn't the most powerful thing in the room, but my experience of life and other people and the moment to moment, because you never know. What is that? It's a biblical phrase, I think, where do not neglect to entertain strangers.
Right.
Because you never know if it's an angel in disguise.
Yeah.
So it was, so I saw that they were setting the tone. They were setting a kind of marker for me to strive towards and how to deal with my ego. And because there's a lot of egos in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And it was important for me to take care of my interior life in such a way that I could go through any experience, working, not working, good shows, bad shows, didn't matter. I had a kind of constancy inside of me that I could feel some self-respect,
Mm-hmm.
So that it was a good kind of ego.
It was a good kind of ego, yeah.
It was a good kind of ego, where
mm-hmm.
you, where you know how to say no to people, but you do it in a polite way.
Right.
And some people think of this as weakness. I mean, you should never mistake anybody's silence for weakness, or good manners and grace for weakness, because I'm, quite frankly, a ball buster. You cross me, you betray me.
Same here.
I can be quiet, I can have good manners, but I'll take you down.
Yep.
Do not hurt me, do not hurt my family, do not hurt anybody.
Yep.
In my you know what I mean? So But yeah, and I'm pretty sure that yeah. So they taught me how to treat everybody across the board with good manners and grace.
That's good. Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. You know, anybody who I always say anybody who fucks with me, I fuck with them 10 times harder.
Yeah, but not in an aggressive way. I don't have to come after them physically. You know.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Sometimes you have to let things settle and decide how's the best. Making a decision in the middle of fear or anger is always going to be the wrong one. So the first thing I have to do is I have to get calm. And I have to let things sort of shake out and see where they fall and then make a decision on what to do. You know?
Yeah.
For people who have the explosive tempers, I mean, I've seen that. I've experienced it. It's never good. It's never good to go nuclear, scorched earth on a set, ever. It's always the wrong decision.
Yeah, I tell people I'm a Gemini for a reason.
Right? So
then you were on a very unique show for PBS called Square One Television.
I love that show so much. That was a labor of love. That really was a labor of love.
Was it a low budget show?
What?
Was it a low budget show?
It was a low budget show, it was a low budget show, but it had a high visibility to it because the casting, they were really understanding of the budget, meaning what they did was they got really great actors and they shot on the hiatus, which I thought was brilliant. Because, on hiatus, nobody's working, right? Nobody's working during hiatus. So that means that the actors that they could get for the guest star spots, they were big actors. And McLean Stevenson and all sorts of people would come on the set and be our guest stars. And they would work. They were able to work during the hiatus, as was Joe and I, as George Franklin and Kate Monday. And so that allowed us to work within their budget and accept a low pay under an after contract. And I have to tell you, the brilliance of Edith Connell and Jim Thurman's writing, how special was that? I mean, a lot of them had vaudevillian backgrounds, so I've never had that experience of such great writing. I mean, I've worked for great writers and directors, but this was a very special thing, and I have to say that I'm so glad that I did it because it still has a fan base. Yeah, I still get Polaroids or pictures that mothers take of their kids or they take of themselves, and they send them to me. They dress as Kate Monday. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they find me on social media, and they're grown-ups now, and they send me pictures of themselves when they were kids, and they dressed up for Halloween as Kate Monday and George Franklin, and I've also taught during the writer's strike a few years ago. I was asked to teach at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and do some summer workshops for South Coast Rap and things like that. And I'd walk in, and somebody's face would go pale, and they'd start to stutter, or they'd break out in a sweat. And it turns out that they were, young adults who were in their 20s, but they were huge fans as a kid of MathNet, and they were terrified to work with me in an acting class. It was so funny. I thought, oh my goodness, that's the generation I was affecting, and if nothing else, you hope that your career means something, and I believe that this is the one that did. This is the one that shaped and informed, and really made a contribution to the lives of kids. Yeah, it made math not scary. That made it curious for them. That it made them laugh. Because laughter is the thing that inspires people to tackle things they don't want to tackle. Right. What were you going to say? I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I was going to say, you never know how your audience is going to react with what you do, you know? And
Right.
it certainly sounds like in this case, you know, you probably didn't know that people were still going to remember that all these years later.
I didn't. And I have to tell you, when I'm in that whole biblical phrase of entertaining strangers that could be angels, that was this case. I'm so deeply grateful that I did this show. It wasn't great money, but I wanted to do it, and other people wanted to do it. And look what happened. You know, it really contributed. I'm glad that I was able to make a positive contribution in that way.
Yeah, did that lead to MathNet later?
Well, MathNet was part of Square One Television.
Mm-hmm.
So it was its own series within Square One TV. And I've kept in touch with some of those people with Square One, like Larry Cedar. He's had an amazing career.
Oh, yeah, he's a Renaissance man.
He's amazing, such a great actor.
Yeah.
And so we're still in touch with each other, and I adore him. He's a sweetheart, too. Really incredible actor, great chops.
Yeah, he started out as a creature in horror sci-fi movies.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and he's been doing great work anyway. I've seen him in tons of TV and film, but I think Deadwood really brought him out. That was a huge crown, a huge jewel in his crown, and I'm just so pleased at all of his success. He's deserving of that. And
mm-hmm.
There's something else I was going to say, I forgot. So you go ahead and ask me another question.
How about Alien Nation?
Oh, Alien Nation.
Yeah. I used to watch that show.
Oh my goodness. I haven't thought about that show in forever. I was going through some transitional time. I don't have a lot of memories of that. I remember loving doing the role. Mm-hmm. I remember being relieved that I didn't have to wear the alien makeup. But I do remember making some choices with that role. She seemed to be a spoiled wife of an alien. And but I was going through some personal things during that time. I think it was actually in the middle of a divorce, mm-hmm. or about to. And so there are times, life changes when you have such a personal confrontation going on that you sort of gird your loins, mm-hmm. and show up for work and do the best you can and hope for the best. I think that was one of those shows where I wasn't totally distracted by my personal stuff. I still showed up and did my job and went home. But there was so much drama waiting for me at home that I don't have a lot of memories. But I get that as a gift, by the way, a few years ago. Someone found the DVD of it, and I remember watching it at that time and saying, okay, phew, my scenes weren't that bad,
Yeah.
It's like, almost a relief, like, okay, I did do my job, and I went home and faced whatever I had to face. I really was hoping for the best, that I didn't let the production down, mm-hmm. during that time. I do have the ability to strength of character and the ability to sort of enclose myself and focus while I'm working. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Compartmentalize whatever drama I'm going through. I'm able to pack those bags in bags and boxes, leave them at the stage door, and then go do my job. Right. But I do remember feeling relief that when I did years later watch the Alien Nation episode, that I had done my job and I didn't let anybody down. So that's great.
Yeah, Armin Shimmerman was in that episode long before Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
He's a fine actor. And he's a great person. I met him at several of the SAG meetings when he was involved with SAG, and he's a great gentleman. Him and his wife Kitty are really wonderful people. Mm-hmm. Really devoted to the acting community. I really love him. He's also shown me the way to behave as a serious actor.
Nice, nice. You did a very memorable episode of Quantum Leap.
That was another great highlight. Yes. That tango scene is something people still ask for.
Yeah. I love that red
tango
dress.
Is something else. Isn't that great? I
Yeah.
still watch it too. I just like when my daughter Kate comes home and she wants to show her friends what her mom's done. She'll pull up that episode and show them the tango. That was now there's a classic example of how my dancing training really served me well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that red dress you wear in it.
I had just had a baby.
Really?
That was Jean-Pierre Dorliac I guess he won some awards for that show. He understood that I had a 9-month-old baby. I just had given birth to Kate that year, and that's the reason why he had all of the gathering and the sharing in that dress. Mm-hmm. I mean, my figure was still holding up, but I think he was very gracious to bit of all the gathering, so it wasn't too skin tight, Yeah. But yeah, that dress was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yes,
Incredible
it was.
Dress.
And how was Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell?
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not enough good words I can say about working with them.
Mm-hmm. They're that good.
It was, in real life and on set.
Nice.
In real life and on this, I just feel like amazing is a word for a popper,
Yeah.
There are some experiences that just don't have words. It would just, it just doesn't have words for it. He's just as handsome and as talented as you think he is, and more so. Yeah, I'm glad to see he's doing NCIS. He's got another series going, and it's doing well. He deserves it. And Dean Stockwell, another great cat, just really down to earth. And he's been in the business a long time.
Yeah.
But he wasn't jaded. He really enjoyed his life. He enjoyed what he did. He spread that around. He spread that around the set. It was a good set to work on. Everybody was happy to go to work there. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any drama back on stage or off. You know how there's a great show that you hear about, and then you hear that, in between takes, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
This was not one of those. This is not one of those. Everything about it was special, from the craft service table to saying goodbye to those people.
Yeah.
Everybody, the whole crew, everybody. It was good. It was a good experience.
Oh, that's good to hear.
And also one of my top 5. So you've hit on, aside from Alienation, where it was just a lick and a promise, and I hope to God I did okay. You've hit on all of my top favorites.
Nice.
You've pretty much hit on all my top favorites. Sunset, by the way, that movie Sunset with James Garner and Blake Edwards and Bruce Willis, that was my big break. That was my first job.
Really?
In Hollywood. Yeah.
Wow.
That was my very first job.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yes. And so I was also scared to death, and that's why Blake Edwards' letter and the way he treated me and brought me back and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's why it meant so much, because I was surrounded by all these big monkey mucks, and I didn't have any set manners. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
At all. So I learned. I was really, really gobsmacked and fighting to earn my place there,
Yeah.
at the table. So I was really glad that I didn't burn any bridges.
How about any memories of It's Pat the movie?
Oh, It's Pat. I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, that's one of those bad ones.
About It's Pat. I loved working for her.
Mm-hmm.
She was a real sweetheart. There was just a lot of shenanigans on stage and off, and I did have to fight for my place at the table there, and I won. Mm-hmm. But I loved her.
Oh, that's good.
She was not a problem in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Julia Sweeney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't clear about that. Yeah, Julia Sweeney was amazing.
That's
amazing.
Good.
Super sweetheart.
That's good. You're the first one, by the way, in 615 episodes where someone said, I don't want to talk about a certain movie. So congratulations, Beverly.
Is that a bad thing?
No, not at all. It's funny.
Well,
I listen to other podcasts, right? And occasionally when I listen to other podcasts, I hear that. And I was like, wow, no one ever does that with me, but you're the first one. So I'm kind of happy.
Oh, you are happy about that. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to mislead anybody. I don't want there to be any, scuttlebutt on that. But there are some jobs where you just go, I have nothing to contribute here that's going to be positive, you know? I love Julia Sweeney. I think she's an amazing actress.
Mm-hmm.
And she did really well with this movie. But I don't know. If you can't say anything nice about the experience, don't say anything at all.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to look at it. Very good.
Yeah, it was all backstage stuff, nonsense. It had nothing to do with the final product. I was proud of the movie and what I did with that movie, and I believe Julia Sweeney I think she deserved one series or film after another.
Me too. Yeah.
I do. Didn't she have some physical problems, some medical problems? Was she cancer or something?
Yeah, I believe she had breast cancer after that.
Yeah, and that's a long, so I loved her so much that all I did was pray for her.
Mm-hmm.
My mother went through cancer, and I was her caretaker for about 6.5, 7 years. So I know what that whole recovery thing is about.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's life-changing, So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's deserving of all good things.
I do
She's
too.
amazing.
She is amazing. How was working with Clint Eastwood on Blood Work?
He was. He's such an incredible director.
Mm-hmm.
I've never worked for a director who ran a set like that. It was the quietest set I'd ever been on.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was gobsmacked and kind of just watched and learned. You know how on a set you hear what they show on TV or in other movies, like speed, rolling, that sort of thing. Imagine nobody saying that, but you having to pay absolute attention to the first AD as he lifts his index finger and points to the sound guy, and lifts his index finger again and makes a circle in the air, which means speed and rolling. And so when I was doing my speech for Mr. Eastwood, this is so funny. So the first AD points to the sound guy. He waves his finger in the air, and then I look at Mr. Eastwood, and he goes, "Okay, Bev, act." Instead of going, "Action,"
Yeah.
it was, he says in a very kind of whispery voice, "Okay, Bev, act." It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And he loves you, and he loves actors to do it in one take.
Yeah.
And I did mine in one take. And he was so surprised that he said, let's print that, but just as a safety, let's go back. So I knew I did my job.
Yeah.
Job right. He likes a one and done and move on. It shortens his, it saves money, saves studio money to have actors know what they're doing. So, yeah, that was pretty special. He's a quiet guy.
Yeah,
Quiet guy.
I heard he's so organized as a director that he finishes on schedule long before the shoot is over.
He does. He was always an early day. Everything was planned out way ahead of time. And you know who else is incredibly good at that? I worked for Roman Coppola a couple of times.
Oh.
on some commercials. And that man has everything planned out in advance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has incredible people working for him. You show up to work, they're ahead. Yeah, he is the best. Yeah, Roman Coppola is an amazing guy. Also, super quiet, but really, really good at what he does. Really good. It was quite frankly one of the best run sets I'd ever worked on.
Yeah.
His ADs were outstanding. His first ADs, outstanding. His crew, the DPs, the stunt people, really, really ahead of it. So Mr. Eastwood and Mr. Coppola, yeah. Now those are the people you want to work for, because they really think of everything before you even get up in the morning. You know?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Some directors aren't like that at all, I've heard. So,
yeah, you're right. They are not like that. And it's the actor who has to sort of really make their life easier. Because if you could do it in one or two takes and move on, then you make their life easier, and they don't feel quite so rattled or chaotic. It's chaos on the set.
mm-hmm.
So it's pretty unusual to have a director who understands that ahead of time and does everything possible to make sure so that if chaos does happen, I mean, you make plans and the gods laugh. So if chaos does happen, they're so ahead of schedule if they can do everything calmly. They don't have to freak out or fall apart like a cheap suit, you know?
Yeah. So, Beverly, how did you get into helping people with drug and alcohol addiction?
Oh, are you reading that off of my IMDb page?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've heard about it for a long time. But,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I've got 30 years of sobriety right now in the evening.
Oh, congratulations.
But I had tried for several years for about 5 years before that. So I should have had, I'm not 30 years sober. I started to get sober 30 years ago. I'm 25 years sober now.
Mm-hmm.
So let me correct that. I misspoke. I tried to get sober 30 years ago, and I got it finally took. And so I help people with drugs and alcohol in terms of being of service through AA. And I sometimes, I don't really talk about the dark days publicly,
right.
But I'm not afraid to let other people know that I'm sober.
Oh, that's good.
Because it saved my life. It also saved my daughter's life. It saved my career. And I live to tell about it, because I think I would have been one of those that ended up on the 11 o'clock news. Honestly.
Yeah.
It was seriously, Beverly Leech, Mathnet children's television star, dies in an ugly car crash, or she bursts into flames and drives her car off a bridge. I mean, I was having a tough time.
Yeah.
And, did you mention that you are too?
Yes. I will be 5 years sober in January. I had
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great.
I had a car crash 4 years ago. Yes. I spent 30 days in a coma.
Oh, my God. Kovac. Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh, there for the grace of God go I. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
It was pretty...
I'm with you. I'm so sorry.
It's pretty bad.
Did you come out with all your fingers and toes?
Knock wood, yes. I have lots of metal in my leg, but other than that, everything's fine. I had 12 surgeries overall, though, for everything that happened. Yeah, basically what happened was, my mom and I, we lost everything in 2013. Our money, our apartment, jobs, everything. And
it's the stock market bubble?
Well, ironically, in 2000, when the stock market crashed, my mom lost a lot of money in that, but it didn't hurt us. But in 2013, we lost everything. My mom's ex-boyfriend, who she'd been with for many, many years, took advantage of us big time. Something in his head.
Embezzled?
Yeah, embezzled.
Oh, my God, I'm so sorry, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry.
He had a girlfriend on the side. I mean, there was a lot of bad stuff going on. And so we were, like couch hopping and struggling to find jobs for like a year. And then one night I was out drinking with a guy who I thought was my friend, and I fell asleep on the passenger side, and he fell asleep at the wheel, and we ended up in the middle of the road, and we got out okay, but then the car collided with ours, and then the impact hit us.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
How's your mom?
Oh, my mom is she's good overall. I mean, she started drinking later in life, so she's struggling with it right now. And I go to AA with her. And
okay,
my brother.
Yeah, I go to Al-Anon too because I keep marrying him.
Yeah.
But my AA sponsor was very sneaky about getting me into Al-Anon.
Mm-hmm.
I had just a couple of years sober, and she said, "You know what? I know you're sponsoring women, but you seem to be upset at them because you're just not doing it your way. So I think you'd be a better sponsor if you went to Al-Anon."
Mm-hmm.
And so when she framed it like that, this would make me a better AA if I went to Al-Anon. And then, within my first meeting, I heard my story from about my previous alcoholic, which I told over and over again. I went, "That sneaky girl. I know I should send me to Al-Anon because I keep marrying him." So, yeah. So they've been. I have to say though that Al-Anon has improved my AA program tremendously. I continue to go to Al-Anon too.
Yeah.
There's, alcoholism is a family disease. It's been on both sides of my family for generations. So I have a healthy respect for it. I came by it honestly, and it was, actually it was, I'm glad that AA says that it's a self-diagnosed disease, because to everyone else, there seemed to be absolutely nothing wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
I was a highly functional alcoholic. I could drink copious amounts of scotch,
right.
Not get drunk. And I was always well dressed. I always looked pretty. I was not the image of a gutter drunk. That old, stereotype of drunk.
Yeah.
My house was always clean. My bills were always paid. I never got into a car accident or went to jail. I did not look like an alcoholic, and I always had this kind of sort of litmus test. I was bothered. I'm glad they said it was a self-diagnosed disease, because I knew that I had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But, I had some tests. You're in denial in the early years. And I had some tests. I never went to an audition drunk.
Yeah.
Or loaded. And I never worked drunk or loaded. And I have to say that in a weird way, as I was approaching my bottom, it was Weird Al Yankovic that saved my life.
Really?
Can I say that? Yeah. Yeah. Because I had those two really strong rules, those rules for myself. I can manage this problem because I don't go to work drunk and I don't go to auditions drunk. Well, one day I woke up with the obsession, and I had an audition that day for a comedy movie that Weird Al Yankovic was producing, and it was a producer session. And for some reason, I had the obsession. I just couldn't let it go. I was off book. I was ready to go, and I said, "Well, I'll just smoke some pot.
Mm-hmm.
That'll take the edge off. And I'm off book. I won't have a problem here." But I didn't realize that the pot was too strong. Mm-hmm. So I showed up to this audition, and I broke my number one rule. And there I was off book trying to do this audition, and Weird Al Yankovic got up from his chair and got on the tabletop on his hands and knees, mm-hmm. and crawled over to my side of the table and got right in my face. Took a nice big whiff and looked back at the casting and the other producers and said, "She's polluted, man. Get her out of here." And I was so humiliated that by this experience, but it actually saved my life because I'd broken my own personal rules. And lucky for me, I had an agent. I immediately told her what happened. And I told her, you know, she was a great friend of mine. I'd been with her for a number of years. She was a great aunt, a really strong woman, and a great person, too. So I was able to tell her what happened, you know, that I'd blown the audition and in that manner and humiliated myself. And then admitted to her, and she goes, I had a feeling something was up with you, Bev. What are you going to do about it? And I checked into a rehab that week.
Wow.
So, you know, in a strange way, in his own way, well, because it's weird, Weird Al Yankovic saved my life.
Yeah.
He put me on a path. He pulled my covers, and I have to say that I really, I don't think he knew that. I'm pretty sure he was disgusted with me for showing up like that and making a fool out of myself and disrespecting him, by the way.
Wow.
It's a huge sign of disrespect, I think,
Mm-hmm.
to show up to a job interview and not think enough of it to be at your best. You know, and you know, Stella had such a strong. She was hard. She was hard. She was like, you have to treat your body and your mind like an Olympian. You have to train like an Olympian.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to take care of your body. You have to take care of your mind. And so, but I had a problem. You know, I did, and nobody believed me in my family, by the way.
Oh.
Because I was so successful as an actress. I was making money. You know, I was doing all these incredible projects. I didn't have all the signs of a classic bum. You know.
Yeah.
Nobody, even after long after I was sober, my mom would look at me and go, "You're not going to because you know, I was bottom out in the old kind of classic ways. It was a bad bottom. It really was.
Yeah.
It was. So I don't know that I was the lucky one. I've lost fortunes before. You know, when I bottomed out as a drunk, I pretty much did lose everything. I lost all my money. I lost all my, I lost everything. And I had to start over again. I had let it go too far, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also married to one, too, so we kind of both contributed to that loss, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that the spiritual aspects of the program, where you do it one day at a time, you just do it's just one day at a time, and you know, it's a program that demands rigorous honesty with yourself and other people. And in that way, I got some of my self-esteem back and my self-confidence back. My ego needed to be leveled in that way,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I think sometimes all the shiny stuff, being having beautiful jewelry and clothes and having all the perks, that's a different kind of mask. And sort of unmasking myself by losing that was good for me.
Uh-huh.
It just was.
Yeah, one of the last jobs I worked before my accident, I was a security guard at a college, and when the kids came back, it became so unbearable that last couple days I worked, I had to go after having a couple drinks because it was terrible, and I just couldn't deal with it, and it ultimately led to me getting fired, and I was pretty happy about it though because I just couldn't stand being talked to the way I was at that college. It was a real preppy kind of college, you know, and that whole year, 2014, that year was a really big learning year for me, leading up to everything. You know, I look back now and I say, God, I could have done something better, but you know, I'm glad I went through it because otherwise I wouldn't be here talking to you right now.
You know what? We're all just, at the end of the day, we're all just children of God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we weren't born this way. We were born with nothing to fear. Everything was sparkly and curious to us. Pure, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes things have to be stripped away so we get to that sort of childlike, you know, enter the gates of heaven. You have to be as if a little child, you know? Mm-hmm. And not childish. I'm not talking about immature. I'm talking about having that kind of openness of spirit to where things can be delightful again. girl. I'm just a human being. I'm just another person. And the greatest thing that I think a human being can experience is being seen, being heard. We all just want to be seen. We all just want to be heard. Whether you're a security guard or a mom or an actress or a grocery clerk, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And when we kind of honor that sense that we're being seen and heard, and if the people around us aren't respecting us, then we need to find a different crowd. And I think AA gives us that opportunity to, reduce our egos to a place where we're all equal. We're all equal. Nobody's less than, nobody's better than. Well, that's one of the gifts. And it's also anonymous. So I'm breaking my anonymity by talking about this. But, it saved my life. And I'm terrified of life. I didn't know that until I got sober. I was scared of everything. Mm-hmm. We're all scared of everything.
Yes. I mean, alcoholism and...
Congratulations. This is a big thing for you. I'm sorry about the 12 surgeries.
Thank you.
That sounds insane to me. I've been through multiple surgeries, but not as a result of something. It must have been very traumatic to have to get things fixed piecemeal like that.
It was, and I'm just wrapping up the depression part of it and trying to lose weight again. It's funny. The doctor told me, when I had the accident, I was like 300 and something I weighed, and then when I woke up, I was like 190, and the doctor told me I needed to maintain that weight, and then he said, oh, by the way, you're going to be awfully depressed when you get out of the hospital. Well, the way I cope with depression is eating, and so right now I'm just, in the middle of a diet to get all that weight off me because I don't want to have another heart attack again.
Well, no, and I don't want you to have another heart attack either. I gained, because I was immobile. I had an accident last year too, and I ripped up a bunch of parts, and of course I wasn't able to walk or use some. So that kind of sedentary lifestyle naturally gained weight, and so I've been using the intermittent dieting, fasting. Have you ever tried that?
I've heard of it.
It's pretty gentle. You can go to Weight Watchers. You can use all kinds of diets that count calories and points and things like that, and they all work. The one that's been working for me really well is the intermittent fasting, where you just eat between certain hours of the day. I mean, you can't eat whatever you want. You can't sit down and eat a pecan pie and think, oh, good, I'm on my diet. But it has slowly but gently been really remarkable. I lost weight before my last surgery. Doing that, I lost like 18 pounds before. And I needed to do that because the extra weight on the joints is hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard to go through physical therapy when you have additional, weight bearing down on it. So, I encourage you to keep up the good work. It's just a day at a time. Dieting is just like sobriety. It's just a day at a time.
Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to exercise because I got the metal in my leg, but I'm going to have my physical in a few weeks that the doctor,
Good.
will suggest something, hopefully, so.
Good, okay.
That's
okay.
I'm looking forward to that.
I ended up getting a recumbent bike. It's the bike that has the pedals out in front. Mm-hmm. Because I can't sit in an upright bike.
Yeah.
It burns calories without putting any pressure on my legs or my knees or my lower back, and it's good. And it's a good way to cycle and build stamina and burn calories too. I don't know if that would be helpful to you, but if you got a recumbent bike where the pedals are out front, that might work. Or if you have I don't have access to a pool. Everybody keeps telling me to go swimming, but I don't have access to a pool. But that should be helpful for you.
We have a pool and we have a exercise room in our apartment complex, so I can do those, and I have, But so, are you teaching acting as well?
No, I didn't. I started. My husband and I owned and operated. I retired last year, so I started teaching I started teaching during the stock market bubble crash. There was all sorts of things happening. The writer's strike happened, and the stock market burst, and then SAG and AFTRA were having their contract problems. So for a long while, there wasn't any work to be had as an actor. So my husband, Christian Mioli, also an actor, we were suddenly looking at each other going, we don't have a source of income. And so we started, he started a movie theater, and I started doing the operations for it. So we owned and operated the Arena Cinema Lounge. And last year, I'm 60 right now, so last year I retired, and I don't operate a theater anymore, but he's still got it, and he's still running it. And right now I'm just, I needed to take time off for this last surgery. I just had a shoulder replacement in April, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm so happy I did it. And right now I'm back in acting and just doing that. I was always acting. So even when I was doing the theater and even when I was teaching, I never quit acting. So I continued to work like that. And it's been a pretty busy season, knock on wood. Don't want to jinx myself. It's been a good season. So I'm very happy about all the auditions I've been going at. And thank you for letting me do this a day later instead of on Friday, to do it today. I had that call back yesterday, and it was good. It was a long one. So I'm glad I thought ahead and thought, I don't know if I can do both. So yeah, it was good. It was good to get that off my plate and just sort of push it to today. So yeah.
Oh, good.
But I taught the business of acting. I taught Stella Adler technique and scene study. I love giving back in that way.
Yeah, I know. I interview a lot of actors who love teaching, and they teach now, because roles dried up and what have you, and they say that they get a real big satisfaction from it.
Yeah, because you get to pass it on. You have all that wealth of knowledge and stage tricks and things to do and not to do. That sort of help them, because there's a lot of shysters out there that teach acting, so to speak, but it's really not. They're just taking their money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scammers out in Los Angeles, and I'm sure in New York too, and the other major markets that are just selling a shiny promise you can be a star, as opposed to teaching real technique and how to give an actor something that they can actually have a lifetime career on, instead of being a short-term, I need to be a star. People lose faith in shiny promises like that. They get discouraged. It's a hard career. It's a very, very hard career. You have to have something that runs deeper, and having real technique and having real training survives, because the acting profession is seasonal. It's already got a built-in season. There's pilot season, then there's a hiatus, then there's summer season, and there's a hiatus, and then there's episodic season, and there's a hiatus. So it already has fallow times when you're not working. And it's easy to think I'm a failure, when the truth is that there's seasons. You have to be able to ride them out. You have to figure out ways to work even when there's no work available. And there are times that it's really just math. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's math. The odds are that someone in their 20s or mid-20s are going to book 1 out of every 15 auditions. You don't book everything that you go out for. You have to go to 14 other auditions and not get them before you book the 15th, because it's the odds. The odds are they'll book 1 out of 15. So you can't look at the first 14 as failures. They are necessary in order to get to hit on the 15th. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
Yeah, so there's no such thing as failure. Ever. Ever. You just have to show up. It gets real simple for me. I suit up and I show up. And that's all I do. And I do the best that I can. I try to give the best that I have to offer each and every single time.
Do you have any books?
That's all I can do.
Do you have any books out?
I do. I have a book out. It's called. I took all of that that business of acting that I did for the Academy and on South Coast,
Mm-hmm.
and I took all of those and put them into a book called After Muscle: A Craft, Grit, Wit, the Professional's Guide to the Business of Acting.
Mm-hmm.
It's available on Amazon, and I did that for a reason. It's a long title, isn't it? Dang.
Yeah.
But it's After Muscle, Craft, Grit, Wit. And I did that because the academies charge an awful lot of money, and you have to be enrolled in their school to get the benefit of that, business of acting class. And I went, I didn't have this class when I was going through the ranks, when I was in my 20s. I didn't go to an acting school. I mean, there are thousands of actors who learn on their feet like I did. And I thought, really, there's thousands of actors in Los Angeles right now that need this book, that need this class, but they can't afford the $800 or $1,200 for the whole semester to do that. So I put all of my teacher's notes. It's written in layman's terms, street terms, and about $20, $25. And it's a step-by-step guide on how to build your resume, how to get an agent, how to conduct yourself during an audition, what to do for pre-taping. Like those general that the casting director did. He put me on tape with a monologue.
Yeah.
I talk about the length of the monologue and how to choose it and where to find them and how to time yourself and what kind of material is appropriate for yourself. And how to also teach camera technique in there. I mean, it's pretty much got everything. It's a really good step-by-step guide on how to set yourself up in the early days through a mid-career before you. And it even talks about how to get an agent and a manager, things like that. It has stage technique, TV, film, commercial technique in there. So I tried to, I took a 12-week course and I put it in a nice, a concise manual. It's not dry bones, it's not a technical manual, although it talks about technique a lot in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I did. I wrote that book after my mama died,
Mm-hmm.
I told you my mom went through the cancer, and I was with her through most of that. And when she passed, I realized there was a bucket list of things I needed to do that I'd always wanted to. And I said, well, it's time to get busy and do this and actually do the things that you say that you want to do. And writing a book was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd always wanted to do that. So that's another way of being of service. It's not a bestseller, but it is of service.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who have bought it have thanked me quite a bit, because it has all sorts of tips on how to submit yourself. Not everybody starts out with an agent or manager. You have to build your resume by submitting yourself for projects and talk about where to do that and how to not sabotage yourself. There's a lot of greenhorn mistakes that can be made in the early days, and I talk about that, without punishing anybody, saying, like, you're stupid. Not stupid. You have to learn. You have to make mistakes,
Yeah.
But here's some common ones you can avoid,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check the book out and stuff because it sounds like it'd be pretty interesting.
Thank you.
And
saying that.
And pretty life altering as well and stuff because you have a lot of wisdom and insight.
I appreciate you saying that too. I hope so.
Of course.
I'm just another girl. Be seen, wants to be heard, just like anybody else,
Yeah. So I don't know if I told you this in email, Beverly, but there's this quick game that I like to engage my guests in, and how this works is it's silly slumber party questions, and how it works is I ask you the question, you answer it, then you ask me that exact same question, and I answer it. Okay. Beverly, are you ticklish?
No. Tommy, are you ticklish?
I am very ticklish, yes.
Okay.
What is your favorite part of the body?
My favorite part of the body are the eyes. What is your favorite part of the body?
I've always loved the belly button.
That's so cute.
Yeah. I am like obsessed with it, and I contemplate mine every day. What color are your toenails painted?
White. What color are your toenails painted?
They are not painted right now because
Right now.
summertime's
Yeah.
over.
Okay.
And my favorite question: is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Is there a stinky smell that just makes me gag?
Yeah, could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, I thought of three right away. I mean, obviously, when someone throws up, the smell of vomit is an automatic response.
Of course.
I don't really gag over this one, but I know when there is a dead animal nearby,
Ooh.
you know,
Yeah.
and I always feel sad about that. I don't gag on that one, but the smell that makes me gag is really strong BO.
Yeah.
You know, when someone forgets to bathe,
Mm-hmm.
and they're so used to their smell
Yeah.
that they can't smell it. You know? Yeah. Really strong BO.
Yeah.
How about what's a really strong smell that makes you gag?
Either farts or feet, and
Feet, yeah, stinky feet can be bad. Yeah. What else?
well, I'll tell you, the last month I was in the hospital. I was so grumpy from the medication they gave me that they didn't want to come near me, so they didn't change my socks. So for the first 6 months I was out of the hospital, I had really bad athlete's foot, and that was the worst ever.
That's a smell. That's a smell.
That was bad.
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you.
Tommy, go ahead.
Oh, I'll tell you. And a lot of those nurses I had in the hospital, they had pretty bad body odor because they're sweating a lot.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Yes.
Anyway, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you, Tommy. I'm glad we finally made this happen. We have been sort of like back and forth for a while.
Yes, I love it.
It's a real pleasure to meet you. It's a real pleasure to meet you.
It's a real pleasure to meet you too, Beverly. This is just amazing, and you're an amazing, inspiring woman. I'm glad we got to talk today.
Well, I don't know about amazing, but I'm glad. Inspiring, I'll take inspiring. Do no harm. Do no harm, the mantra of the day. Anyway, Tommy, God bless you and your mother, and I hope things, and congratulations on your sobriety, and I hope things continue to improve for you. Just know that I'm rooting for you, too.
Oh, thank you so much, Beverly. That means an awful lot to me.
Okay.
You have yourself a great day.
Thank you so much, Tommy.
Okay.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Beverly Leech. Ain't she a sweetheart? God, she is just an amazing, inspiring woman. Regardless if she takes that or not, she is an amazing and inspiring woman. And I'm glad I got to fucking talk to her today because all of you out there listening, you can learn a lot from her. I'm definitely going to check out her book. You better check out her book too. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.